child who was very, very ill last week, spent time in the hospital, and luckily is now out of the house and or not out of the house, but out of the hospital, back home and recovering. So certainly wish him well. And, with regard to the agenda, Marion, anything sort of question, change anything?
No specials. I'd just like the chance to, after we go through the first presentation, introduce our two new employees before I have my report.
So then I'll just give to council to approve the agenda as presented.
I move with the
Second.
Motion second, Councilman all in favor, aye.
Aye.
And aye. Then we will move to the budget presentation from Lloyd.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you, Brian.
Absolutely. Excited.
You're excited. Can you hardly ever get to do it?
I hardly ever am. That'll only be my third one today. Or no, well, by the time I get done, I'll have three. And I thank you very much for putting me on. I've got Galva right after I get this done, so that's back at home, so it's not a problem. Okay, I think most of you have been through kind of this process I do. Is it Jeremiah? Jeremiah. I want to make sure. Jeremiah probably has it, but I'll just take any questions. Let me know.
Okay.
So on the front page, the highlights, if you look at the left-hand side, I've always had this on here. It just shows what 26 budget year looked like and what the draft 27 budget looks like. The mill levies pretty well stayed the same. You'll see that. You look at the assessed value, it did go up a little bit, and I'll talk about that more here in just a minute. And the revenue neutral rate in 1 year was 68. In the current year, it's about 69.4. And one mill last year was 14,446. This year is 14,724. So there's not a lot of change, in dollar amount. And this is what I'm going to show you with the right here. So I have quite a bit of writing down the right-hand side. So if you remember, one mill is 3 decimal points to the left. And that's even true with the change in the assessed value. So what I do is I take 277,598 on the very right-hand side total over there and move it 3 decimal points to the left. So each mill that you have is increased this year by $276. You see that? Okay. Take that 276 times your mill levy that we have currently, 70.712. And so what that means is that for every $276, everyone is $276, a total of $19,517. Okay. You work your way down and you get 14,725 is one mill. You divide that into the 19,517, and that's 1.33 mills. And the reason that's important, you've been following the legislature at all this last spring, they wanted to put caps on. They wanted to say 3% assessed value, that's all going to go up. There were just a lot of things like that floating around. So the 1.33 mil would only be the increase of the people that had assessed value increases in their house or property at the same percentage as what we've got right here in total. That makes sense? Yeah, so it's only one, it's not a lot, but it's still 1.33 mils, okay? I had one, I think tonight, Galvez is almost 4.5 mils in assessed value. And it just kind of depends where where the property is and the new and all that. The second thing I do on this sheet is that rectangle that goes cash reserve across the long ways for general fund and utility fund. If you remember, I not said this every year I do this, Grandma and Grandpa kind of bring this every 3 to 6 months of reserve for your personal, okay? About 25 years ago, I started looking at governments and said in like cities and counties, it doesn't really work in school districts because they're pretty much regulated by the state of Kansas. Cities and counties, it really works well. And then it kind of ties in, I don't think I shared this, I just saw this here in the last 6 months. It's called the Government Finance Officers of America, GFOA. It's a very recognizable organization that works with finances across the entire United States. And so 3 to 6 months, 3 months would be 25% reserve, okay, of your receipts, okay? So if you had, on your expenditures, so if you had 25%, that would be 3 months, okay? 6 months is more probably what I see across most cities. I think I'm helping the city of Arrington this year because they lost their city manager. So I'm not the city manager, but I'm acting as the budget preparer to help them all the way through the process. And so all their funds are pretty tight, probably except for their light fund, which would be their utility fund for electric. And it's probably got about 8 months left. Okay, so that's the kind of difference. They're all over the board. 3 to 6 months and 3% would kind of be the lower end of it. With that said, you look, I wrote in what your actual month expenditures would be there in the writing under the 2025 unencumbered cash. So general would be at the end of 25 would be at 1.89. You see that? And utility fund would be at 1.66. And I mean, it's very simple to calculate. So you look over the second column, it's called monthly expenditures. That shows you how much you spend a month on the average for general fund, 163,000, and for utility, 341,000 rounded. So it's just a kind of a rule of thumb. I get that. I've been doing this for 43 years. And you get that question probably more than how much cash is enough. So you had to kind of come up with something. And that 3 to 6 months just really fits in with GFOA and all other organizations. I did a talk, I don't know if you remember that, Kansas Power Pool or it's in Kansas City.
Yeah, we're in the power pool.
Okay, yeah. So I did a talk with cities down there and they kind of have industrial standards. You know, we talked about that quite a bit, the industrial standards for utilities. And so I did that a year ago. We talked about that. So I think that 3 to 6 months is pretty much in the ballpark of kind of where you shoot. Okay. I have one county at the end of 25 had $6,450 in their general fund. And that's 1/6 of 1 day. How in the world can you operate? See what I'm saying? And I don't know who's out here, but R&R, I don't like R&R because anytime, like even personal, if you lock your dollars down and you see like inflation, the way it's went over since 2020, and I'll just give you an example, one right now. And this would affect you just in a different way. Pratt County, every time he's just telling me in this perspective, that really makes a lot of sense. Every time that semi pulled in the bridge department to unload its fuel, it's 14,000 more than last year. So that's been going that way since about February-ish, March, when this started with Iran. And so you're looking now at, we're getting close to 6 months of that. 5 months of that would be $70,000, okay? And that would be about $500,000 just for that truck to pull on the grounds. So you have to kind of look at that. So I was down there last week and I was talking to them. So what I added to this is down here at the bottom part of this, just to kind of give you a ballpark figure. It really sneaks up on you. Total expenditures 2025 were $7,896,837. Now, if you did, I'm taking
That was hard.
That's yours. Now I'm taking the high side of 4%. I think CPI is right under 3, somewhere around 3 overall. Okay, but if you took 4% and you multiplied that, that would be 315,873. Okay, on 25 expenditures. So that's actually we're a year and a half back. I mean, that's back another year. You take off this assessed value increase over here of 19,517. You know, you got because the assessed value went up just a little bit. We're setting with a whole of 296,356 if you're looking at inflation or close to inflation. Divide that by 14,724, which is 1 mil, and you literally have 20 mil. Now I am not opposed to that at 20 million because I would get shot or probably would make it out of town. But I started doing that with Pat last week. We were talking about that fuel truck. And it really makes a lot of sense when you start looking at that. and the legislature says, oh, we can lock dollars in. So where are you gonna get the money? Lock dollars. Now, you all, a city, has a lot better chance of that because you have utilities. So you can use utilities like you do to transfer or to help out. But the counties don't. See, they already have most of that. That's why the counties are really sucking air right now because they want to stay at R&R. Costs like that, that's 7,000, just one example. Passion shirt, that's why I'm crazy. And so that's just something I think that we just need to be cognizant of, you know, if we're looking. I just do this front page because it really helps me get a grip on kind of the big picture, kind of where you're at. But I'm going to start adding that to the bottom here, this part about the total expenditure times 4%. Any questions on that? That's kind of an overview. Okay. Okay. I'm going to go through the rest of this pretty quickly. Page 2, I just circled that because we're working with estimated assessed value of June 15, and page 2 is the final. That's going to be your final assessed. It'll be somewhere in October. Page 3 is motor vehicle. I'm not going to spend any time on that unless you have questions. Page 4, as you work through the budget and try to figure out, Brian was telling me, there's some proposals. They're going to, try to figure out, where to put those dollar amounts. This could change. This page could change because it may change like how much you transfer from utility, general, or capital improvement or whatever. Okay. Next page on page 5. This is something I just look at on every one of the cities or counties I work with. I circled the interest rates, and some of the top one in 2012 it goes to 40, so it's pretty good, 2 to 4. The next one down is not bad at all, 2013, and it'll be paid off in 28. And then the third one is 5.2. So when you look at, I just looked it up. It's called municipal investment. It's the 90-day T-bill rate, and that's what you use to figure out how much you invest your money in the bank. If they won't pay it, then you go to them. But it's 3.63 this week, okay? So if you look at that, I always look at what I can invest my money for and what the debt is, okay? The ones below that, down there, it's 2.42 and 1.31, and they're through 33 and 41. That's a great rate. So I'm not worried. That's just something of note. And the only question I have is there any debt? A GO bond or anything like revenue? Or
Just to get back a check book with that loans or thing.
well, we have it on that next page. I mean, what this is like
Oh,
GO
yeah.
bonds, debt security bonds, anything.
Not
Okay.
for that.
None. Okay. Next page is what's called lease purchases. This would be the bucket truck. This would be the KVP, gold pickup trade, and you can see the rates there. And then you said, is there any other new leases?
The new one that we got this year.
Okay, in 24 and 26. Okay, we don't have it on there.
No, because we just did it like,
Just kid.
yeah.
Okay. Yes, new bucket truck. Okay.
I can get you that information, Scott.
Yeah. That'd be great. Okay.
We might have one other vehicle for next year,
Okay.
depending on how tonight's conversation goes.
Okay. Oh, it's nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Next page, all this is say whether on page 7, it's the whether you have grant and aid from the public library system and qualifies. So it's not a big dollar amount, it's qualification. Page 8 is general fund, and we always try to stay conservative with receipts. The only circle I have here, I always look at this top line, back to cash, income and cash. It kind of shows you if you're staying consistent with your income and cash, even though it might be at 1.89 or whatever that is, or is that pretty well staying consistent? If it's going like this, then probably need to figure out some way to adjust that. It looks like it's staying pretty consistent. Local sales tax, we are above what the actual was at 25. Not a lot, we're about right there. That's one that we kind of keep on. That's several. That's second middle. Help out. The transfer in utility, I didn't circle it. If you go down about 8 lines from that circle sales tax, you have 250 in the first column, 250 in the middle column, and 420 in the 27 column. Now, it'd be something you should talk about, Brian, tonight, you know, like, or whenever you talk about the balance. That's the one that could fluctuate based on, how the different expenses. But, that's there to help the general fund, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think what happened is we had sales tax in the general fund for industrial development. So we took it out, really probably should have been out, and it's got its own fund, I'll show you. That's a very large amount, so that's why that increased to make up that amount that was going to be there because the budget be built on part of that amount. Okay, so that's why that jumped. Look on page 9, there's the unencumbered cash at the end of 27. That's after all the other departments get dropped in. And that may change some too as you look through the final number. One thing that I'll say at one time is the middle column, 2026, probably really more important than the 2027 column. But right now we're setting 50% of the year, we're setting here July 6th, and none of us have a crystal ball. It's like that 14,000, didn't know that was going to happen. Can't even talk about that. So there may be things, we don't know that, but we need to really look at that middle column. Whatever in that middle column, don't spend in that column. You can move it to the 27 column. What it does is it gives you budget, especially on a project, gives you budget authority in the middle column, and then when you cut it, put it in the 27 column, so you have budget authority from last year. You have budget authority now in the 27 year, and then if the project is done in 26, you got it covered. It's done in 27, you got it covered. That's the main thing in the middle column is to make sure. Page 10, the only one I really looked at here, that really jumped out at me, and it may be a unique situation, is general administration, kind of where we're at there, and that may be part of the conversation. On total expenditure, 489, and then 26 and 27. So I'm not sure there may be.
Because we didn't have a administrator. And someone just paid our intro, that's contract labor.
Oh. So anyway, I looked through the rest of these, most of the rest of these are pretty fine, don't place that goes, these are detailed, line on page, these are 10 and 11 are the details, lines on page 9. Kind of one. The thing to remember is, it sounds crazy, in the state of Kansas, back to page 9, none of us have that. In there, like the state of Kansas set up with that bold number on page 9, bottom of 27, not the bottom, but down toward the bold number, 2,343,276. State of Kansas basically belong here under that number, budget purposes. Right now, you did spend 2 million, that means you also spend that circle number above the cash. Okay, but that's something to just think about. These departments that you go like 10 and 11, as you go through, even after you approve the budget, and you have maybe something else come up, you can change those. Just but the big thing we look at the department heads is you want that budget to actual that are working like 26 and then 27. Comparing budget, big comparing budget to actually what is spent. So to give you that percentage. Okay. Page 12. The only question I had on page 12 was about the airport. I've been running into this a lot of county and city levels. I've been all over the state now. They want to do this work. It sounds like the federal government making habits. I don't know. They're putting a lot of money out for airport. And I don't know if that's something you look at.
We need,
Oh, they're not. Oh, no, because they're gas.
No, but they're not.
like, I just felt on top of the National County, it's cold water. And, it's a little, there's like 1,600 people in the entire county, and they're getting like 700,000. I had to confuse. Yeah. Anyway, okay, thank you. Yeah.
What about Black Airport?
Dippies, National Fire, Dippy,
I learned something.
So we're not important enough to live in the airport. Well, like that.
You can't not get to see them. So that's one reason the training grants can cut aviation. The instant point.
Okay. Well, Harry, they got a bunch of money, and that guy that runs the thing, I don't know what.
Hurricane was used to Clark County. It was their base during World War II.
Yeah, they're used, that's some kind of connection. Okay, page 13. I don't really have any questions here. This is the debt service fund and the library fund, and that's the last two levies. So what you have is you have general, debt service, and library. And on the debt service, some of that funding is a transfer from the utility fund, and all of it is ran through the debt service. No, I have no changes there. 14, this is where it starts the budget fund. I just circled cash to kind of see where you're at. Go to, I think, the next question I have is on page 16. Because, this is one needs a little work probably. This is the utility fund. Now, if I remember right, I think it was last year we talked about this. I was, 20 years ago, all of the utility fund were separate, okay? And then I can't remember the fund. Which they all combined into one. And last year we were talking, what would it be better so that we could kind of manage each one better if we had each an individual. So I don't know if that conversation is taking place anymore. Because what happens is when you see,
I think, well,
okay, come on, wrong. But this year, I mean, we can change it. That will change to go in and make each one of those funds. So, I mean,
It's fine. Yeah.
you talk about it tonight, it really is, all we have to do is take this utility fund and just really peel it back and make it, like here you got, all combined, electric, refuse, sewer, and water. And what is hard about having, I mean, I know why they did it back when they did it, and there's nothing wrong with doing it. But what it does is it kind of, maybe kind of covers up the ones that struggle. And so you have to all better. I know I did it because the electric fund will cover the weaknesses of the water department and sewer, because they tend to struggle more. But to me, you can have them separated. It just really should just drill in and say, here's what it costs for like water, and here's what the rate should be. That's just, the only one I work with. It's just,
I'm fine with switching it. I'm treating them separately anyway, so.
I messed up. But definitely have talked about this. I think that it, to me, we justify the public, that water rate. Here's how much it costs to give you that water, and then here's what you need.
Well,
But,
we did it with refuse this year already. We've already done a rate evaluation to change for the next 5 years, so, yeah, I'm treating them.
I'll make a note, just you want to show them that way again?
okay, yeah, so.
Yeah.
Okay, so each fund would be budget on its own. Okay. Now would be, so we don't change it in the year, what would happen? It is, we get down to 26. But I don't know, we know the balance of my pipeline. So I don't know how that allocated you could do it off of, one thing you could do is off of the, gross receipt expenditure. I mean, with receipts, you know, that's not gonna take in this one spent more than expended, you have to come out somewhere maybe out. At the end of 26, and what we do is move forward 27. That makes sense.
Mhm.
There's no perfect way to do it. That would be a way. And then I think it would be, of course, you know, look, you set the presentation on the audit report, the presentation in the budget. Right now, it's all. Okay.
You okay with that?
I like that. I wanted that since we came here.
Okay.
It's a whole lot easier to track.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I agree.
this is a perfect example, right? If you look at that top line on page 16, look at what the utility fund, we went from 1,000,001 down to 564, down to 605. Okay? Now, that is, I think some of that is an adjustment, like I said, in the middle column. You know, there's some things in the middle column that may not be happening. There may be some transfers we back off. That's, look at the circle number, you know, 27 column for cash carry, negative 912. This is one we're really gonna have to work over. Okay. And then the question is, was there any rate increases that we're not anticipating? I mean, I don't have it on here, because every one of these numbers in 26 and 27 is the same.
We're doing a rate study, KPP for electric, that's in process. And then with our new water meters, we're gonna see what they're actually using versus what we've been estimating for, several years anyway. Yeah.
Because, I think I've told this before, but, Pratt had this situation. If you're not above 50% tile in the base, especially on water, you won't get grants. And so they were at 20 sometimes. They had to raise their rates 28%. That's not going out there, but I'm just telling you that's things that you monitor, because you can't get grants. I mean, there's a lot of water right now. Gallo doesn't get a fix this year. I think we're up to $6 million in government grants to help fix the water. So you know, there's just a lot. Anyway,
So you're recommending increase water rate 48%.
I know. No, I for sure would make that.
I think we can do better.
I for sure would make that. But anyway, you can just kind of see that. And then I took that number I had on the very front, A there, you see the line over. Total expenditures in the utility fund was 4,088,000 times 4%. So look at that, that's 163,553, and that's just maybe 1 year. There's just some things here that you know kind of look at. And I think when we break it out, I'll tell you. That we have it, kind of look at it. We try to break it out, that's fine, okay? One other question I have on that page down below there is, KDHE loan proceeds water plant, $1.2 million, that was stuck in, I think, a couple of years ago. Should that be in there or not?
That's right.
And capital improvements, not, I mean, it's like, it doesn't have to be budgeted. You might suppose that, see that, that's a receipt that we're saying we're gonna get. I'm not sure.
Is that-
It's been there.
It's been there for a while.
It's not a done deal.
But
We're still working on it. Yeah.
That's very good. We just don't.
So being conservative on grants, nobody violation. So I would probably do that. And reason being is if you're got one book. May want. And then if we do get it, careful. Okay, I think that was the main question. If you look on page 18, That kind of just gives you, this is what goes in the paper. Now there, again, there's some work to do. You look on the very right hand there where the circle is. We have the same mill levy as last year. We have it in rate built on that, 70.712, and revenue neutral is 69.393. So revenue neutral didn't change, but your assessed value didn't change. That makes sense? Okay, the only other thing on page 19, just so you kind of always divide this on the neighborhood revitalization, it's calculated at 10,252. I always divide by 1 mil to show you it's 0.696 mils. What less than 1 mil what it costs to have your revitalization. Okay. Any questions? Thank you. No problem. I'll get one on the split down the four these, and then graph. You can sort of show there, and then you'll have one more budget fund based on this. Okay. No. Maybe you're very depressed. Make it back.
Not following you, or I'd be ready.
I don't have to tell you that the first audit first look I ever did the firm that everybody else and looked at my voice was Marion and Joanne Mallard. Anyway, thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks,
guys.
guys.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
You too.
Thank you. I was negligent in that I did not mention that we are doing something tonight that we have not done previously, at least we think we do. Live streaming this, and Gene has spent a lot of time and effort into it. Hopefully being able to live stream, and from that, well, I'll get into this a bit more when we get talking. Talk a bit about it.
I was looking for the net.
I did know that. Work on that in there. Dean, but there's something else that you want, you need to do something. You just need to tell them that you go to youtube.com, type in the MCTV 25. That'll come to my website where we store the city council. And do them, other people that want to watch it, well, they won't know that. It's just twice a year. We've had one or two people sound logged in already. Yes. So evidently it is working. Let's move on and the agenda then to approval of the consent agenda. Anything that the gentleman wants to pull out for discussion?
One thing, I think I had on our last minutes. On which later reported said that dean officer instead of dean officer. And then the next thing was under administrative report, we're discussing the presentation fee to the text my government. It was just box of money going on. What you're doing with the presentation and off hours. 2, not 3 planned. Carry out, so this will have to, because I don't know if we planned on 3 of those.
No.
Ours was not included, we plan on getting a presentation. Sorry.
Sorry about that.
That's okay, okay.
Sorry.
One other thing, Janet, and this is why I'm saying that something left out, and it looks like it is that. We addressed the interview with the 2 gentlemen from Wilton council positions, and we reflect that my nomination is made. What we don't show, unless I just missed it somewhere, was that we swore Jeremiah.
Nope.
Well, my grandfather was assured I'd never learn how to spell my name. All right.
Give me the correct.
Jeremiah.
So with regard to the ballot, June 15, warrant in the amount of $71,456.96, payroll amount $47,422. And I have a motion to approve the ballot. Evan,
I move that we approve the consent agenda as amended. Second.
motion second, discussion, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Anyone wishes to address the council about anything that you might wish to do so, just come up to the table here, state your name, and what it is you'd like to talk about. We will move then to the community event center initiative. I know you got some people here from that. Must have badly at work. So many far apart. Gerald, are you speaking to the group tonight? Or?
We were here last. By getting everybody on the packet, I don't know whether other members still have that in the file or folder, but you could just kind of basically talk about what we want to teach. Appreciate it. Maybe.
Yep. Yeah, I got it. Thank you.
Okay.
One of the things you asked for that last meeting is, two things you asked for at that last meeting, one, the parking analysis, and the other was utility analysis, and Gerald got utility. Part of the, parking analysis, one thing kind of come up with, this is slightly revising what you see in the park right now, and kind of laying it in, actually, at some point. Dave, what we could actually do, you can see we could actually put 66 spaces in the park itself. That's roughly a 500-foot radius from this fence. We get 500 feet, we're actually back out on Main Street. So I went ahead and said, okay, I'm going to go ahead and give it down to 1,000 feet, because roughly what you see right now is no different than what we have there in the major event. With the Cuba Plaza, or Old Settler Day, you roughly have, the only spaces we really are adding actually designated, so you say have designated right place, they don't get spread out and not in the end. We'd actually put some parallel parking spaces on the back side right up near the museum. And then down here, clear kind of in the south end, where kind of that trail heads down into that south brush, we had some over there. So roughly right now, we probably have about between 45 and 50 spaces that people actually in the park bringing it in. So this is within that 1,000-foot diameter of this facility, not counting anything up on the hill. So I did not take into account anything like the school, the dead end streets that are up top. This is the valley. This 1,000 feet, we had about 120 spaces. So giving that kind of giving you an idea. That's counting the ones out on Main Street, on down Main Street, on 4th Street, 5th Street, north a little bit, south. Give you an idea of how many spaces.
The building is being designed for events that will hold 250.
Roughly right now, the committee has kind of gone back and forth a little bit. I think right now it's 250, 300 mark. My personal preference is to make it a bigger team. So, roughly when the kind of general rule we use a lot of planning factors is when you get to an event like this thing is kind of designed where you plan 3 usually, it's not just 2, it's kind of an average. And so luckily, we've got 66 spaces, you're basically about more than 150, less than 200, basically in the park itself. You go after that next level with 1,000 people in this thing. Now all of a sudden you're 400 people for the easy spaces. Just kind of there. So, kind of gives you an overview of what we're at. Now, I've got other ideas for the future that could encompass some additional parking for the future, but it would take this place getting up on speed and then looking at adding some additional parking locations down the road after this next meeting.
Side note, we have talked with the students. Talking with high school. We looked at two possible places where there could be two. We want two that area, one, which is the waiting people, the other. Basically come up just on the other side of the water. It's kind of a floor. The other location was to the north of the road, to the north of the road, south of the road. Yeah, but there is, trying to get some type of access up to that thing. So we haven't looked at it. You know, and if you end up going to that thing, people walking 2-3 blocks and whatever. What you have to do is fairly.
That's why I did not include this yet. Possible to expand that number right now.
To expand that, well, that way we'd be taking any of the parks for that park. Outside. Right.
Yeah, there's no plan in any one of our thoughts or ideas to collect anything in the park other than what's there now, see here, or those programs. No plans to collect anything else out.
We have to do stuff for the stuff. Can go off them.
Exactly.
But you can't change something that you do, but it's not negatively.
So you're mentioning the school district, so one of the thoughts kind of on that thing is the school uses the parking lot. You know, there are times, especially in traffic. If they staircase / sidewalk, and be right in the backside of the building, right down to the park, it would be like a lot by the school district as well as vice versa. Then you, the school having then public can use some parking lots up there and you have guys. So it's kind of a two-way up the street if that one. The only thing the school requested is that if something like that happened, because flat portion of the sidewalk would be on the stair or on the city park side, which that's the way it works out geographically.
There's a lot of.
Very nice, that, lots of differences.
That's another place. Parking.
Yeah.
So we got all the number of spaces, but, the parking is gonna be up next to the building. Is it gonna be any challenges to moving vehicles in and out?
Always, just like there is now. Part of that
Is there anything that would be major to do that?
There won't be any major needs. And also, we had to keep plenty of access for fire access. The thing that's kind of shown on here, kind of not, it's, you can tell because of the buildings that are there, but if you look right off the parking lot, you already have your maintenance building out there. And we leave that corridor, that access to that maintenance building. Right now, technically, an emergency vehicle, if something you're gonna come in, not only can you come in on the main driveway, but you can come along that trail, along my street, along that into the park. They can drive right down through there and you're right past the meeting, so you get right in this area. You would now restrict their achieve that. Any kind of emergency reaction impacts.
Another question I have is, the only way to try to achieve level of parking in space is if there's some sort of market.
Yes,
It's gonna be really difficult.
you know, it's part of the plan with BGH. They
Got you. Say with just rocks, everything away.
we try to just pave to a point where we can actually market. And that's why the layout of this kind of follows what's there now, but we have to get. The only shape that we probably wouldn't be able to change a whole lot is right there around the the springs. That's kind of fun, so that one is flowers, not shaped like. Reshape.
On the right-hand side of the two snapshots, I assume that the black part is the building. Not that, is that the
No,
current?
that is correct.
Okay. I thought it was going to, be more horizontal as opposed to. Doesn't matter, this is what you've been doing all along.
Yes.
Okay.
Just kind of trying to mimic the footprint of
That's
what's
well.
there now. Slightly, we rotated it to make things fit a little bit better, but basically it's the same footprint use. So that's something like the meetings, at meetings and stuff about, okay, considering. Kind of been more fun, fine. It's slightly bigger direction and still not. Sorry, the whole idea of not impact the park.
Was concrete work initially factored in the parking lot?
The parking lot? No, because we haven't done any concrete. We've got a separate line. Might be an asphalt. Thank you.
Look here. That figure is always bigger than the expenses. But kind of in the middle of the page here, we're talking about estimated operating expenses. Here's I kind of have some line items here, put on the picture. I did talk to Casey Case, who I think handles all the insurance for the city. And he said based upon a $1 million building, about $2,700 a year insurance, we could break that down monthly, $225. The insurance utilities, it's my understanding that it's the water and sewer city will not be a charge for that for the business. The electricity, my understanding, the city buys that in some lower rate. And it's tough to put a number exactly what that electricity will be. I mean, a lot of factors go into that. You know, how home electric bill is going to be, whether it's gas, anything. So it would be an expense, I really know what that might be. Natural gas, that was based upon the treatment of a 7,500 square foot building, an online thing, and again, obviously, price of gas varies, how insulated the building is, how it's built, a lot of different things that go into that, and whether we need simple heating and air conditioning, or whether we use like a heat pump type for it, and whether that's going to be air, or whether it's going to be but that, now the big figure there, $500 to $1,000 a month, natural gas. And I suppose the reality is it's probably closer to that smaller figure, 500. rather than the south. Because heating is a whole air system, you know, they want to heat and stuff in the heat. And it may not be, it's not going to be heated up every day. I think money in there, pay on somebody, hire somebody to handle booking, set up other duties, things that are going to be involved with something to run this. Event center, like 20 hours a week, $25 an hour. There's a couple thousand per month, some marketing, advertising, promoting, 300. So bottom line, we're somewhere down here around $34,000 a month, based upon the figures that we have here. If you extend that out to the year, we're talking 36 to $48,000. And right below there, then we're going to talk a little bit about income. I think our goal is for this event center to be profitable for the city. We're doing nothing about it that being financial liability for the city. And if that's going to happen, it's going to have to involve wedding events, because that's what the money is going to be, and that's what it's going to come from. So look at wedding events. I think figure here 3,000-4,000, and that is basically pretty much on the lower side of what people are currently paying for wedding events. And you flip to the second page, there's a list of a lot of those I could not come up with a dollar amount on them. I tried to look at the bit, that's information they didn't want to share. But Blue Cliff starts off at $9,500. Very expensive. And most of these places can handle up to 250 people. It's kind of what it's heading towards. There's lots of other smaller events in the area, but not very many that would handle that big of a group. Leon is way past our 50-mile, 80-mile limit. There's $3,100. They listed the aviation center in Wichita, exploration center, Sunray Ranch for the North County. We've had a couple of kids married there. That was about 4,500. That was big, not handle 250 smaller. And the complete barn, white barn, and another one. But it was just kind of a sample of some of the things in the area, and kind of what some of the fees that they were charging. So I think that you could probably, realistically, almost on the low side, that's $3,000-4,000 for kind of wedding and thing. So let's go over to the second page again. If we look at, let's say we do 2 weddings a month. I just rounded that off 25 a year. At $3,000-4,000, we're talking about $75,000 to $100,000. If you do 30 per year, then you're $90,000 to $120,000. So there's a potential for some income, I think, for the city, but it's going to have to be involved with wedding and all the other rentings that happen. And I haven't rented for 5,000, and you could do lots of other possible daylight flavor, lots of other city groups, regional organizations, banquets, and meetings, class meetings. I mean, that list will go on and on. But they would not probably pay something like you had to come to a wedding event. I don't know what that would be. That will all be determined if this thing moves forward at some point in the future. So we actually looked at a couple other places around town, and there's been other things mentioned, like in Russell Park, which county they're renovating, and I mean, there's things that can be involved with every event. The bottom line probably comes to, you know, if you have a child, you have a grandchild, or a great grandchild, when you're getting married, they want to go to a special place, something, you know, that's memorable. If you, whether you know, we had something else in this part, I have a child, I'm not sure, I thought you have a wedding at the industrial park in there, even though it's easy access to the location. And I think the park itself is such a beautiful place to be stay, that it could be attractive, and this type of facility could be a nice addition to the park. I think people come to the wedding, after the wedding, not everybody really want to dance, do whatever, they can get out, they can right next door, they can enjoy park. That's just kind of a rough number, at this point. I guess I'm just open to questions. If there's any.
I always like to, change that, but worst case scenario. And that's what, worst case scenario, I think you've been realistic on your estimated. Just lowball that, but I think so. So, yeah, that maybe even off, but you average $3,000 a month. You have one wedding a month. I'm hoping you're still breaking.
You just about breaking it between you. I know there are a lot of ways that back in this area. And I don't know, that's the numbers I know, a lot of people on some way and meetings. I think they were booked out. And there's no guarantee, obviously, you know, what happened, what the defense do. I think the city not to become a financial liability, if you fix it, what it depends. Delta, you, oh, good. I'm sorry. Were there any questions?
Well, at this point, and we asked you to kind of keep us up to date, and we did that for more information. So where are you now and what do you?
Okay, so we can, I think, talk to $5,000 to do this initial study. I'm not sure.
Brian?
Yeah, it's.
Everhard.
It's.
Everhard, yes.
It's money is hard.
We have that option, but the group in there.
Oh, that.
Yeah, they've already been contacted and they are willing to give us $5,000 once the city council approves to go ahead and use 5,000 money towards developing some kind of a plan, architectural drawing or whatever's involved with this initial thing and trying to put this together, because if this moves forward, we're gonna have to have all that information to go after some grant money. And our intention is not to be, come from tax money from citizens. We're gonna try to get this money put together. And if that happens and we get this thing built, whatever, then we're going to turn it over to the city. That's kind of where we sit right now.
Say, I think at this point, the approval of RAS is not, I think this thing in reality is that next step. You ain't doing the planning.
Right.
It's not like, hey, you're not getting into the RAS, approval, just, hey, you got what they can do. It's more, hey, before that next step, planning done. The next step after you say, hey.
I think if you get the planning done, and then there is a real package that can be presented to the public.
Right.
And I know this is not, both package, but, that part is, if we have a crown jewel of that.
And part of the case is that very nice. We're not trying to push things. But how else would we get?
But what I was doing with that hearing is that people, the public is very protective.
Exactly.
So,
And we want to be also,
yeah,
and we want to be very overgrateful for everything that you brought doing down there and presenting.
but if you got that kind of information in, before I would feel comfortable voting yes, to go, or whatever, I would like to have some way to communicate out to the public, a meeting, a public meeting where you guys come and make presentation, and hopefully you have put something up on the screen or whatever. So if you're, I'm fine, I personally, I'm not speaking for the rest of the council, I'm personally fine with giving that thumbs up, go ahead, with that next step.
Go to the plan.
Thought?
That's my thought as well. About anything really, but continue seeking out planning.
And I wouldn't even want to vote for you guys, but we got some funding like for protection payments. I mean, the last thing this committee wants to do is speak to the city, other than operations. That's not the, what the threat funds.
Did we build it, Steve?
Be okay, you go ahead, what's next step, get this planning, some funding for this planning.
I think you got it.
Yep.
Is it true you're going to name it the Christie Peterson Memorial?
We'll talk about it.
Mike Powers.
Most of the people.
Michael F. Powers.
Memorial? Watch out.
I don't want to do that part. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Okay, that takes us to department reports.
Before
I
we,
thought you were on vacation. No? Oh,
Can I,
Welcome back.
may I introduce our two new folks? Because one of them may have a report, so. I think we're at full staff, right, Jan? Yep, we're at full staff for the first time in a while. And so we welcomed our new code enforcement neighborhood service director, Zane Deacon, is with us here, right there. And he's a couple weeks now in here, and he's swimming. He's doing well. He's not sinking. So
thinking.
sinking.
Oh, sinking.
Yeah, no, he's doing a lot of thinking. He's doing a lot of that. But he's getting good help and good training and got good opportunities. So I'm grateful to have him here with us. And for a couple of weeks without someone, it was a little hairy, or I was losing hair, one of the way, whichever way it was. And then we have a new new court clerk and accounts payable receivable assistant, and that's Julia Scheidemann over here. She started today, so we're glad to have him here.
As a punishment, you made her come to this meeting.
Privilege.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what I
privilege.
mean.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So anyway, so we wanted you to all have a shot to meet them.
On behalf, I'll speak for myself, but, I was very, very worried, because I thought we'd had some real momentum on, basically, code enforcement, cleaning up the city side things, and last game, I worked sure. We have to get a young person, who's interested in getting involved in learning and going with it, and, really happy to have you on board. And we have needed, you literally fit the bill to what we needed for 18, 21 months. We're really glad of that.
We're all breathing just a little easier having them with us. So yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
And with that, I don't know if I'm happy to have you, Jason, but if you're ready to talk, I'd love to have you do it. You have anything to report? Well, Stephen said he didn't have any. Put it in the budget to get it right.
Margot didn't train us.
No, things at the plant continue to go well this summer. We're making huge gains on blinking, meeting.
Are you getting any feedback on that from the public at all?
No, but, it's kind of one of those good things to, as compared to last summer, I would say our complaints are very, very down.
That's
So,
what it is.
I feel like it's doing a good job. I know with some of the meter change outs, we've had a few issues with having to get in the manual. Certain valves on and off. We kind of try to follow those guys out as much as we could. Flush hydrants. Keep on flushing. Second, Chief Slater, always on vacation.
I have nothing to report this time either. I did formal maintenance. Yeah.
I don't think.
Well, I'd like to say I didn't, but I do. So here we go. We received checks from EMC Insurance for the 2012 Police Department Impala that was totaled. And then we also received the payment for the 2013 Ford Escape. The funds in the amount of $11,678 were placed in the Equipment Reserve Fund for those two vehicles. EMC Insurance evaluation for the museum roof and city roofs were under review on those. We had an estimate provided for the museum roof, and we've gone back to EMC. They missed some shingles. We had 2 layers of asphalt and 1 layer of cedar shingles. They saw 1 layer of asphalt, so we're in the process of discovery and working with them to share that information so we can get it reevaluated. We'll do a similar thing with the other city buildings as well. We did get an estimate, 2 estimates actually, on the airport. One of those helped us net an additional $25,139.47 in insurance claim from EMC on that. So that brings us up closer to $175,000 we received at the airport. Not quite enough to do everything on there, but puts us in a better position than we were, for certain. We had the Text My Gov meeting that you mentioned earlier this week, and is any thoughts you all have on that you want to share with your discovery?
So Jeremiah and I both visited through Zoom with the provider for the service and just clarified a bunch more questions we had that we were still certain about. So wanted to discuss, when we come together as a council and discuss it more, I'd like to feel a lot better than we'll answer some of those questions and what we're looking at servicing potentially.
Right. Yeah. We had good questions too, by the way. So things I hadn't thought of. Appreciate that. And then I'm going to do the review on Code Red to see where we're at, because we do have an annual subscription on that. I don't know. So I need to call them and discover a little more about how those two compare or if they contrast. Right. Before we move forward too. So we'll get that determined and bring it back to you.
Brian, were you still going to just base on to see what it would cost for it to get like the form management?
I haven't yet. We're working on the other vehicles, but I can.
I thought, well, I just think it'd be worth having it.
That's fine. Yeah, I mean, if they've got a simple debt removal that's not horribly expensive, we have the money, we can look at that. So certainly we can get that, or I'll get that scheduled with that.
It's our official car.
It's the hail, not the public. It was the hail, truthfully. Okay. Modern Air is coming back the end of this week, hopefully, to replace that one faulty compressor. Things aren't staying real well upstairs without it, so they'll be back. Hopefully, they get that installed, and things will be where they ought to be on cooling the community event center or the community center upstairs. So that's their schedule. I'll know more after that's done. So we should have an update where we're at on that by the next council meeting. Chief Slater has gotten some complaints about e-bike usage, and we're going to talk about that later in the agenda. So we're working on some public awareness stuff we can share as well. And we also had some, as the harvest trucks were moving through with grain, wheat, et cetera, here the last couple of weeks, there were some complaints about side-by-sides and golf carts, the usage and stuff. So we put some information out as well on social media for safety reasons, so that people understand how to use them, where to use them, who's old enough to drive them, et cetera. So that's what I've got for my report, unless there's any questions.
We sold the bucket truck.
No, we're accepting bids. I have it set for 2 weeks. It'll close this Friday. I haven't seen a bid yet. But we only went locally. We didn't go wide, so I'll go wide with the next one. We'll go to Facebook Marketplace and push it out to Wichita, Salina, other communities. So we'll get that out there further. I was trying locally just to try to see in case there's someone that could benefit from it locally. So far, nothing. But there's another week to go. Oh, yes, and the one that's on Purple Wave, Stephen just said ends tomorrow. So.
Is there a current bid on it?
5,100 right now on the small one. Tomorrow to go. And a lot of those things happen last minute.
Right.
So, yeah. Okay. Other questions? Okay.
If not, then let's go to council member items and concerns, complaints, thoughts, questions.
All I was gonna talk about was that fixing. I think, Jimmy had to set the whole brain and say not it. Collecting more information, we'll bring it up in part of our study sessions, I'm assuming, discuss it more. Discuss it then. Where are we at on the water?
They started the end today, and they're in the valley. Everything on the hill, the east side of the park in town has pretty much been done, except for some of the more difficult ones. But they're working heavily on businesses and residences down here on this west side of the park right now. So, and I saw a big stack of papers coming today. So quite a few got done.
And, you gave me.
Oh. Yes, I did. So far, we're able to read a lot of them right now. I think that's with the old equipment. Good, right? Yeah. But right now, we're not having much trouble with the signals on those like we were concerned about. When the new equipment goes into all the new program, everything's uploaded, we'll see how it goes. But I think our confidence level is a lot higher than it was previously. So that's a relief.
Percentage wise, where would you say we're at? 80% done?
It's probably a little over 80, I think. With today, what I saw today, I bet there was at least 50. Probably. Okay. Yeah. So we're making progress.
So, on the timeline, we feel like we have that information, know what we've done with that project.
Oh, yes. Yes, we would like to get to the concrete portion of Roosevelt with the rest of that money that we were loaned. And I think hopefully by the end of the month here, we have the water meter thing done. We can start looking at trying to work on that project. We still got plenty of warm weather ahead of us, I think. So it will conducive to concrete work. So that's the goal, is to try to get that Roosevelt section done on the north end.
The only other thing I had, I drove by the bucket truck today and I saw a logo on there, but I think that seems awfully small. Like I drove past it on Main Street and I had to look twice to see what the heck it was.
Yeah, it's a little small I'll admit on that one. I went to a genericized one because we were $100 per vehicle and I was trying to be judicious. We wanted to get something on them. So yeah, unfortunately, those doors are a little bigger than doors on other vehicles.
When I saw it,
So-
I thought, well, that's the logo he put on when you really don't want anybody to want to.
I still like the logo, but I think it needs to be quite a bit larger.
Okay, yeah,
At least in my opinion.
that's
Because
fine.
like I said, I knew what it was when I drove by it, and I went within one lane of it, and I had to look really close to see.
Okay, I haven't, I'll go see if I can spot it.
They're a little close. I mean, your glass.
I'll do that, yeah. I will do that.
Other than, I like it, but I just think
Yeah.
if we're gonna go to the expense to put them on there, I think we just need to at least make them larger so there was.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's just my opinion.
That's fair. I agree.
The point you would, that is, run it by Burkle.
Decal.
The
There you
decal.
go. Don't run it, drive it by Burkle.
Yeah.
Yeah, the final number.
Yeah, okay. We'll safely investigate those. I appreciate the feedback.
That's all.
I would like to, and I've been throwing this out to the council for thoughts, not tonight, maybe bring it up to this, I'll bring this up. to you. But, we used to have a park board and cemetery. And those were made up of citizens, people in the community. I think on some of them, there was some, professional guidance, like cemetery board, Becky Watson, big treasurer. Private, but she did knows all about the cemetery and the Watson, that she does. But she was very involved in that as well. I don't know why it was discontinued, but to me, if you have local people who are interested in that and wanting to make sure that's nice in the cemetery, I think it would be good to have them, for no other reason than they could give us recommendations on things. And that's the park, that's the park board. And I got this information from them. Did kind of a similar thing for the park, but also was somewhat hands-on there and would maybe come to the city and say, hey, we think you could get us $300 flowers, we could put them in the plant. So I'm throwing that out, just on. And when I was thinking about that, I also thought, I wonder if we have people, anyone interested in this bill. Because if you go, I know when I moved here, there were events held that there was in the wall over there, there was an opening, pathway into that kitchen. And that organization was having, their annual pancake dinner or whatever. And you'd go through there and get pancakes, and people had family reunions, that sort of thing. Well, we're not doing that down here now, but you've got upstairs at that time was a farm. Now, but the kitchen, and I've been whining about it, whining about the light machine and everything else in the last 2.5 years now. I would like to get a committee so we can have some additional water. But in any event, and there may be nobody in the city of Marion who's interested in promoting the health of the building. In any event, I'm going to bring this up again to see if we can make it something. Final thing, and this kind of piggybacks off of Tim being involved with the Text My Gov. I really, probably the most negative feedback I've had since I've been. And it's not been real negative. What the hey? Has to do with those. And I would like to add them to that as chair of the committee, whose purpose would be to determine what the appropriate storm warning we give to when we should turn those sirens on, and whether we do it, have that automatically, or whether it be someone's job to put that what it's supposed to be. And I think it should be something that we can get out there to the public. This means take cover, dangerous weather coming. Seriously, life-threatening. And then some sort of a way to know when it gets some kind of all clear. That's not way to try to do it, maybe. Yeah. So, I talked to him, he's all, he's a member, he's pretty sure that. And I think that committee ought to have, obviously Brian, obviously Aaron, and I'll let you guys decide.
I'd recommend our fire chief.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you guys.
That's fine.
And you'll be on your own timeline, but probably quicker than I hope we're out of the spring. And
I did see a graphic earlier today, and I didn't get it saved. That showed the numbers were like the second highest in the last 10 years, 20 years on a number of storm warnings that went out. Not the highest, but it's the second highest. Quite a-
Kansas or
In Kansas, yeah. The National Weather Service had that graphic out today, but saw it in passing, and I was impressed. It was the second highest year. So we did have more than normal today.
your mom. That's what you bring to the table.
So far.
We will move on then.
I do have a little story on this one. Fire.
Yeah.
The previous employee who volunteered for the fire department reached back to sharing the story. At one point, there was also the fire department had the ability to switch was not only in the city hall, but down the fire department. And they didn't want anyone to mess with it, so they stuck it behind a bridge or a shelf or something. So that no one would accidentally fall, except those who really knew. And one of the employees volunteered where he was one night, really late, was doing something there, and just couldn't figure out what that switch was for. He just kept switching it, and then the next day, I believe it was Maple, gave him a real feeling about it. Like longer that way, it was pretty explained. So we should recognize that we have had other issues at times in our community that have alarm like things aren't always perfect, but I'm sure thankfully we have the electricity thing now.
Yeah, we've had Gossel and Lincolnville reach out to us about the system we're using because they're looking at changing theirs. So they were impressed with what it can do. Just FYI.
Did we, that one time we had made a comment that, before that siren kind of ramped up and down, did you check into, didn't we talk about leaving it as a constant?
It is on a constant now,
Oh, it is.
but because of the rotation, it sounds like it's doing
Okay,
this.
okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah, I did. I talked to the vendor about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Brian, doing 2 weeks major.
Yes. We are trying to get more than one bid from the vendor to take down the back third of that building. James, before he left, gave us evaluation. He thinks the back third of the building should be sufficient to come down. I visited with Darren just recently. He has the same assessment. The one vendor that we have a bid from thinks that's probably the way to go. But I'm hoping to get some more bids. We've called a couple places, the same place a couple of times, and asked for something else. We've been told by some that it's not a large enough job for them to come from Wichita to do it. So I did have another member of the community had someone they could recommend, and they were out on vacation last week. They're back this week. Hopefully we'll get our bid here. I asked them to get it as soon as we could. So we have something to go by besides the one that I have right now. So if anyone's watching that knows someone in that kind of work, we're accepting bids to do that. And I'd like to have it in by Friday this week, but all possible. We have two options probably remaining to deal with this building. We can have that taken down because you've already ordered the takedown of the building, regardless of what the owner wants to do. And we can put that on the taxes for the building, or we can send them a bill for it. Or the other option is we have them sign the property over to us. We take it down and then we try to get something out of whatever's left once that's secure. Neither option is real wonderful for our budget, but those are the two options I think we have in front of us. I asked our attorney about eminent domain because we're not going to use it for a park or a public parking lot. There's no public use, and so that invalidates that as an option. So that's really kind of what the two things that we came up with that could be done. So asking you all to give me a direction on how to go forward. Once we get some bids, how do you want to handle it?
I'm assuming there's been no other communication with the owners.
Not
No
in a
response, I think.
not in a couple of weeks. I mean, I got one response, and then when I wrote them back again, I got nothing. I will take whatever this response is. We'll mail it, and I'll email it, and I'll call with whatever direction you think you want to move forward with, and see how we do. I'll send a registered letter and see if we get a response.
Our only current bid is still $65,000.
Yeah.
So that we have to do that. I think we should do. Still. Saying if we can just pick off that back. That's what started. Do that, what's left there is best value, well, okay. If we do that, then yeah, we're gonna have to go after the people. Like, my concern is that this will also there to and if that's the case, they're interested in signing over. Much, they'd be like, hey, here's this one about to die, I'd like to sign it over. Already did. But at least it would give us total authority to do whatever we need to do. So, I don't see how we can not move ahead for some sort of an order for the demolition of what would be that part.
That's the part that's most upsetting. They bought it knowing that that back there needed to come off. So it's not got it or whatever, but I mean, they knew when they got it what the liability there was, because we made that point the first time when they were here.
That is, I'm glad
It's neither here nor there.
The city has had that building sold and given to them by bank, not all of it. And then now they own it, so it wouldn't be any different than somebody buy the house and then let it fall apart. But I was hopeful they would, nominate it.
If we were to take over ownership of it, deed it over, we then do have the liability for the rest of the building, but we would also have a little more control of that liability to maintain it such a way that it's not going to fall down and make another addition, make a plot. Be just another plot on that. One of them.
We take the back third off, so then we have to board it up or do something.
Well, there's a brick wall
Is there a
in
wall?
between. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That back door was actually an add-on.
Oh, okay.
And you have this,
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Like you said, you, Brian, have there and take a look at it. And
I've looked at it on numerous times.
Right.
Properties, it's fire, and really the biggest, and within this other town, but the places we've had it there, down building, different places. The biggest issue could be, whoever's like within the last meeting. But for very well, because I see them, they didn't, or good with the fall and everything down. So having having somebody that knows what they're doing, you know, is very critical. The rest of it, I think you just.
Just want to reduce the danger to someone.
Yeah, the only thing that's holding that thing up right now, I think, is a little bit of the elevator. So, that elevator, the freight elevator system is in there. So I think really
The bid that you had, I think you, I'll find it now, you had given it to us previously. Did that include cleanup? Or was that just?
Mhm. That's for just removal of the third, vendor wants a waiver on the rest of the building, should it come down. I told him, well, that's probably a smart thing to ask for. Cause we have to decide how we want to handle it. I mean, I guess if it comes down, as long as they clean it up at 65, I'm okay with it. If it's more, that's a problem. And he was, the vendor, I spoke to the gentleman and he was seeking out others to do this kind of work to get some advice. So I feel like he did some homework on it. At least as far as what he was telling me. I did check with our insurance and we can add that. We can put liability insurance on that building if it's ceded over to us. It's not going to hit us for any real extra money, it'd be minimal. So at least it would be insured so that it do fall on someone, it'd be covered. Of course, we're paying out on that in our policy, but it's not like we're going to take the building and then just take our chances either. I didn't want to do that.
Do you have an idea in mind, Brian, as to what you facilitate?
Recommend, well, I think you've already made the order to tear it down. I'm just trying to get someone else to bid on it. Locally, the one we thought to help us with our other project, didn't want to do it. So, yeah.
So, yeah, you're correct, we've already made the finding that it. Law. But we're working with those people to give a chance to fix that, so I think what seems to me, we need to tell you, full steam ahead, find somebody to take that building down, and that's.
So I guess the decision is, do you want to bill the current building owner or do you want us to seek to have them sign it over? I don't know if there's another option. I'm open to it if someone's got an idea. Bill them? Okay.
Bill them and then follow up with them. I mean, if they look at the bill, it might make it much more inclined to want to get rid of it.
True, and then who knows? Maybe if the other part's kind of salvageable, they can find a way to recover and do something with it. I mean, it's possible. It's you know.
What if we have you tried calling them?
A couple times, yeah. I've spoken to him once since he came down.
Maybe send a letter to them, telling them we open to discussion about ways to move forward on this, including, the city acquiring ownership of the building. And maybe that would make it more permanent.
Okay.
That if I hand them up. I just don't want our thing set there, have the back part, front part, and then we end up with another part.
Or and then the rest of the That's fine.
Last time I was in this, 5 or 6 years ago, that time it was water damage.
What was in there last July 4th, and when it was raining, it was also raining indoors, is my understanding.
I agree with that, to be something with it, you can't just leave it, but again, I mean, that's why I would say bill them, because I think the last thing you want to do is take on something that, like you said, you're gonna spend whatever it would be to put a roof on it, I don't know, $70,000, $80,000 to put a roof on it, trying to get it feasible for somebody else to do something with it, and we're just taking on a huge liability. But I'm not saying you can't leave it the way it is, for sure.
If we legally then pursue them, what would it be the cost and see just legal cost?
We're paying people by the hour. And, if they have that, you know, that, I think we, yeah, we should, no doubt about it. But I have reason to believe that I'm not gonna go and recommend I have any space. That probably.
That takes on additional cost.
Well, it'd be higher than just billing them. We can do that ourselves. So, and then it's whether or not we want to go to collection on something, if that were to pass. I mean, maybe they'll find a way to pay for that. I don't know. But
Unfortunately, and we dealt with it, well, we haven't dealt with it all that much, but previous council has dealt with it a lot. We've got dilapidated properties that are falling down. We're gonna put over your tax, something upstairs, tax. What's that called? But we're gonna sing it, we'll sing it away, I mean, it's right out of the chart.
What's we bill them, they don't pay, they still own the building.
they can still sit there and not do
You know,
anything.
that, right, on their, they'll just go on their taxes, you know, it's just a matter of time until then.
How many years is that?
Well, it won't even go on the 28 taxes, if I understand right.
So it could be years before that.
Yeah,
It's like 2 more years before.
yeah.
Tax separation, that's like how long.
So, I mean, it could be after 2030 before anything's done with it.
Yeah.
If we go this route.
Well, if they are willing to just find a road. Yes. Well, I understand why. Exciting.
Can we say we're going to bill you or you can deed it over to us?
We can
That's
certainly
why
do
they're
that.
saying, if we would be open, it's not telling them that's an option, then they check the box, but they make a choice for it.
Yeah. That's going to be intended to do that with the rest of the building. If that part were missing, would they do something with the rest of the building? Including pay us back.
Best case scenario would be if we were able to salvage the rest of the building, have something that would be used. If other people are convinced that front part is things we're going to do, then we probably ought to explore that because it would be cheaper than building in 2 separate parts. And perhaps better than we wouldn't have to worry so much about protecting the front part. That you creating better.
You know, there's a chance if it was empty, someone might buy the land and put something else in there. There's a new build. Might be hard to match, but if you had a facade and limestone, it might fit in that.
All right, well, we need to get right. Somebody make a motion.
I say we go.
So what you say, the current one is 60,000?
Side. Less than that all goes down to 65. In which case, we might consider it, we're gonna pay one anyway, and have to do something else in the future.
The good news is, at least that have. Nobody's trying that.
So I guess I'm saying I need that we build it.
Tear down
Written properly.
tear down the rear third and build the owners. Okay.
And that's pending if you, how much longer do you think for this, that next bid?
I asked them
Once you
to try to
decide
get
how
it
long
by
to
the end
wait
of the week.
on
Yeah.
that next bid.
I asked for it by Friday. I haven't spoken to the vendor. It was just a friend that knew somebody that might be interested. They might want the limestone is the thing. And it's coming out in pieces. It's not crumbling. The limestone's not crumbling. So it is a benefit to somebody that maybe is in that business that does rebuilds or something, and they could use the materials. So that's a potential advantage.
Darren, did you say you hadn't been in there to look? Did
Not
you look at?
By upstairs. Upstairs. It's been fucked up.
I mean, would you be willing to go look and give us your opinion on the front 2/3? Because like I said, if all of a sudden it's not.
I mean, it's all in, just that we're starting to get tough. It can be a huge structure. Yeah, nice.
There's a big hole in the back. It's wide open. The back door's wide open.
Yeah, I don't think you're liability. My wife would ask me.
We can guarantee the police will not arrest you.
I may have
If we catch your wife on the right day, she might send you.
Well, that's true.
that's the owner of the granite taxes. Yeah. Okay, we can do that. We'll do that separate
Yeah,
in this motion.
At least that way we
And
would.
maybe get permission, get this.
Yeah.
That way,
We'll tie a rope to you.
I'm not worried about the front part falling down.
Oh, okay. All right, well,
It might not be in great shape.
okay.
The motion and a second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Ayes have it, unanimous.
Thank you. We'll, okay, repairs to Main Street in Lincoln. This should be a no-brainer because we kind of have to do it. We have the 40-foot culvert that runs perpendicular from Lincoln South Street to Lincoln North Street. Then that water seeps to the drainage that runs along back in that neighborhood. We have a bid from the vendor for, turn it over. $20,850 to replace the culvert and concrete it in. And the bonus is if we use concrete it in and the culvert wears out eventually in the beginning, there's still a concrete hole all the way through there. So that's the goal in that. There are two sewer boxes with lids that if they were to come down, and he bid this separately, were those to come down, it'd be $3,600 to replace them with lids. If they don't come down, we'll just leave them alone, and then eventually the next CLIP project could replace those and bring them up to date. But that's just,
That's the 256.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
All of those boxes.
yeah. So his
The
intent,
work that we would do on this one, you may not have to do that.
The concrete cap, you might not have to replace it too.
yeah.
That would be.
So, yeah, the steel plate in place is starting to unplace itself, which, happens.
Temporary.
It's temporary. So what we'd like to do is get with your permission to approve that portion of the bid tonight so that we can get with them and schedule and get it done. We think up to 2 days, maybe 3. Tim's got a pretty good idea on how to get the concrete down and get it in there like they used to do on the highways to get it done quick and go from there.
Once we were to decide the very timeline on how we can start.
Can you give us the timeline of how we might take for time to do it if they pass it tonight?
Possibly in 2 weeks, we could have it done. Or start in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
Excuse me.
my question was to start it.
The work could begin within 2 weeks.
Whether
And
Yeah.
when they,
Out of the special highway fund, which will pretty much wipe that one out for the year. So, doesn't mean we can't do the Roosevelt project, but we won't be doing anything else likely. Yeah, especially considering we have the building to take care of. So. But we can fix it.
I
That
get,
was the good news about it. It's fun.
it's back to, sorry, but their fund, it's gonna help cover that cost. Tear down, back to that building.
Haven't
Figure
found
that out.
one yet. It's going to be where are we going to cut everywhere else? And it's probably going to, everybody's going to have to give up a little bit of something between now and the end of the year to take care of it. That's why I'm really hoping we get another bid or two. Someone that really wants that
That was
limestone.
good to help, yeah. But funds would be affected by this.
Yeah. So won't come out of that fund.
I'll make a motion that we approve the report on the place of culvert. Main Street.
I'll second.
Hope you get to the
Discussion. Now, this will come with a promise that there'll be nothing more like this at least the rest of this year. Paul.
We better save the plate in that spot.
It doesn't say, won't happen again in the intersection.
Right there.
That's probably a very good thing. Yeah. That location should be good for the rest of the year.
Anyone? All right, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, nay, ayes have it.
Thank you. And we'll spread the word tomorrow. Sure. Yes, thank you. Okay. Large water tower drainage improvement project is in here. It's another portion of that bid. The vendor put them both on the letter, but it's a separate project. You've got the information we have in here about that. It has to do with the drainage of the water tower when we do that, and for the technical reason why we do that, I will turn to Mr. Wheeler. Do you mind coming up? Thank you. He's such a willing sport. So.
He's on the debate team, right?
That's right. That's a long time. No, part of the reason that we like to build the large water tower is it's a maintenance issue with the distribution system. In the summertime, try to just periodically there, big hole, and it's burning the chlorine. So, just the fact levels where you want it to be, like to try to eliminate some of that. Something that would direct that more towards the street and get it going down by an hour. Where it eventually goes now, but quite a bit of it does do right now. They've got a bit of a drainage ditch on there and it catches some of the elevation that's up there. It just moves up there and kind of right there. Where the trash gathering area. But we work fast and kind of do that so we can continue with that maintenance.
When, so if we did do, and this is on frame, step. You're creating a concrete block of some sort, is that what that was saying?
Yeah.
And Brian told me today that we have had complaints from people that the water, we create a flood in Eisenhower or something. You say anything like that?
You know, I'm not sure. I mean, we'll move water down the street, but it all stays. There's not. Just the more possible. There's some.
Or we're not gonna shoot a wall of water into the agricultural building across the street.
Like when you do that, approximately how many gallons come out of that?
This depends on how long they, you know, if we're allowed, if we're able to do it, like, you may do it.
It's got some kind of an overflow pipe up there.
Grab by, you know. 6 inch overflow pipe on the outside of the lake, that power on that pipe on the outside, that's,
Okay.
but I think water going down. So, that overflow.
And we're unable to add piping to the existing piping to direct it by state rules. Right, yeah.
It's an extension on like your bed.
You have to figure it out.
How big's their gap have to be? I mean, is it possible to have an underground line that it drops from the pipe into the mix? If it was, you know, underground or something. So I went and I looked at the spot and I noticed the one is flat. And there's not a lot of elevation between that pipe is. And it's rock. It's not like it's a concrete pad. I didn't know, would the plan be to build that up some so that it would slow down? And then if we did that, are we gonna have to alter the drive to get through there?
I think that's why Davey wanted to get over kind of a trough, the way you kind of explained it to Tim and I was that it would still allow you to drive through there. And keep that graded to get it.
And if they thought there's enough grade to get that to be street level.
I felt like you felt that.
Is it an option to dump it into a tanker and haul it?
Without that, they wanna,
I 6,000 gallons of it. I don't know. I'm just thinking of options to get us for the next budget year. What's allowable?
That's it's something we can limit to, but it's just, I guess, we have to be. You know, it's something we want to do.
And that's, you mostly just do that in the summer, you said when it's not.
It's kind of like having your water bottle sitting outside in the heat. Yeah, that's a good thing. So we don't want to ruin the treated water we have. We have to waste a little bit per se in order to keep it clean. Yeah.
Well, we're not making it too much. But on him, he thinks.
Think part.
Bumper structure. Along with what we want. And put it back on the agenda whenever you think it's appropriate.
Okay, well, we got to work to try to identify the additional $19,100 that was quoted to us. So, yeah, but we thought that was preferable to a wood, or I mean, riprap dirt feature that would have to be mowed or weed sprayed and that kind of stuff, you know. So, concrete would go down, it'd be there a while. Hopefully a long time, takes care of the neighbor, we're good neighbors.
but going back years, when the community gardens first started, they got grants. Like me. That's the. But, hey, so other options have been tried and thought of.
Think, you'll
Yeah.
come up with something.
Bring it back whenever you're ready, Paul.
Okay, another item we have is, we want to talk about replacement refuse truck. We've been in a pattern of doing that every 10 years. Our last one is 2018. And so we're knocking on the door of doing that again. The reason we're even bringing this up right now is because the federal government has new regulations for emissions, higher stringent emissions regulations coming the first of the year, which is going to impact how the vehicles are designed and manufactured and the cost related to that.
That means it's gonna increase.
It's going to go up. Yes, yes, yeah.
Or make it cheaper.
No, we asked and no, it's going to go up. The estimate from our vendor, our international vendor that Williams down in Florence, that we have service our current vehicles, estimate is an additional $20,000 to $25,000 in vehicle expense. So what they have right now is they have several people that buy multiple trash trucks, all buying the cab chassis portion of the vehicle because the compactor is separate. They're going to park them, turn them on maybe once a month, let them run a little bit, keep the engine fresh, and then later on they'll add the compactors to it. We're thinking that might not be a bad idea for us. We are putting money aside, as we know, with our refuse increase, intentionally to replace vehicles like this. We're getting 6 months collection, so we're pulling in about $35,000 this year. So the thought is, we go ahead, we buy that portion of the vehicle now, which we don't think will be ready like the bucket truck till later this year, fourth quarter, maybe first quarter, but it's this model year, so it counts on the cheaper price. What we'd like to do is have permission to reserve that manufacturing spot before they're all gone, and then we'll seek out bids like we did for the electric truck. I'll probably ask for a 2 or 3 year rate to find out from our local banks like we did with the electric truck, thinking that if we spread out, we're getting about $6,000 a month in money already dedicated for vehicle replacement for the trash truck. So we would be able to make the payments as they occur based on current revenue for that single utility. Why Scott was talking about dividing them up that way. That's how we're looking at it. So I'm asking for your permission to allow us to make that reservation for the manufacturer this year with the thought that we would take loan money and hopefully get it paid off in a year or two. And hopefully not, it's what, $96,862.52.
That's just down the chassis, not
Yeah,
the
right.
trash.
Right. That part's separate. I don't know that there's going to be a huge increase in that part of it, but at least we'd have the vehicle. Oh, and the bonus is if it's not in service, they won't start the warranty on it yet. So we're not losing time on the warranty. We're able to turn it over and let it sit there and let it run and keep the motor fresh. We're not violating any warranty on it.
You have a rough idea on what the compactor, the rest of it is run. I know you didn't get bids on it, but
200?
just have a big idea what the numbers are on the back.
Okay.
Would add another 150 on that, but probably looking at it.
Right, and we thought if we didn't put it on now, then we had the chance to get the revenue off of our utility billing for refuse over the next year or so, year or two, and then we could add that, probably like this one. And try not to incur extra debt.
Can't use roll one, one out.
Yep, no, matter of fact, we want to get rid of the newer one. It's having the most problems. So that would be the one we would sell automatically. We'll keep the R2 in reserve. They do okay for, what we do use them for. And we do on occasion run 2 trucks because we need help with the commercial side of it.
Do we really need one with a cigar lighter?
I saw that too, for $46.
I'm
assuming it's-
Come to the national.
And an ashtray, but I'm assuming he's.
If that's an option, I'm sure we could remove it.
Apparently, manly men must drive it. If it's not a cigar lighter, a cigarette lighter, it is a cigar lighter.
They're bigger.
Oh, we'll inquire about that.
If you still start plugging your phone in to be charged off a cigarette lighter, you need to upgrade your technology. Okay, so this is on for discussion. You bring it back in 2 weeks or what?
Well, we can. but people are buying now on the orders. So we're not technically spending any money today, but we are asking to commit future money down the road. So if we get our order in, then we run less risk of it not being there in
Is
2
there a
weeks.
time for canceling your order month?
Yeah,
I agree,
yeah.
but
I don't know that we're on the hook. With the way it sounds, I'm sure someone might take that slot. So,
okay, William was.
yeah. So it's, yeah, I know it's on the way I've got it, but that's the update. There's 2 left. And, if we don't
If we
move,
were to get it, there's probably a good chance to change our mind to resell that, for instance, it's a highly sought after. These case scenarios, people sell it.
and
Buy more expensive.
we're guessing with a first model year system like this will be on the new vehicles next year. There could be issues with those that we would like to avoid.
So, and then,
Yeah, I think. Yeah,
then we wouldn't get rid of another truck until you got the compactor part put on, until that whole thing is in service.
that way we would do our
Or would you
best to not get rid of the newer one until then, depending on how, unless it gives up the ghost and does it for us, which is possible. But no, I try not to get rid of. We'd like to keep the 3. We have loaned ours to Hillsborough one of our spares to Hillsborough a couple of times in the last 45 days or so, when they needed a little help for a day. So.
I'll make a motion to give people to buy a cab and chassis.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
You ain't starting the discussion.
Will that go on our insurance? I guess when it comes to that, we also get that on our insurance.
We'll get it. Yeah, I mean,
What's something happening?
there's no real need to drive it
Secure
anywhere.
it, so it's not stolen by the-
I think we'll try to find a place to keep it undercover if we can. If we squeeze one more into the electric. Maybe at a premium, but we'll see what we can.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Somebody do it, nay. So we got, it passes, votes 3-1.
We will do that tomorrow. Thank you.
And then Brian, we want to talk about targeted rates.
Yes, there's been some interest growing, not only in our community, but other communities. I heard this place in Peabody I was at not too long ago about using goats or sheep to come in and clean out vegetation. They bring them in for a day or 2, or however. I mean, it depends how many goats I suppose you have and how much you got. But you can rent them, and it's like a service. So they bring the goats in, they put a temporary fence in, they eat everything inside, hopefully not the fence, and get that cleaned up. So it's apparently a popular way to clean out vegetation, maybe especially along our creeks, the folks that have properties back in the creek. Could even be advantageous to the city, maybe consider doing that. But by our current codes, there's no allowance for that kind of activity. So the suggestion is that we make an exception like we have on some of the other items in the code that are listed in here. Find the exception too. Cool. Okay, we have currently, we can't do animals. Goats, sheep are included in that. Horses, pigs, rabbits, Chickens have an exception, ducks have an exception, but all other animals, no. Right now, there's exceptions for possibility of having a stockyard business where there could be a sale barn to bring animals in if someone wanted to start that business here in town. The maintaining of dogs, which are regulated under their own article inside the city code. There's maintaining of non-poisonous and non-vicious animals and fowl, which are commonly kept as house pets, such as cats, hamsters, rabbits, parakeets, and comparable animals. And the transporting of animals through the city by ordinary and customary means. Raising poultry is, of course, allowed along with ducks at their ratios listed in the code. So this would be an exclusion to allow targeted grazing. You can determine the number of days you would like to do so. I have some sample code in here that you may have read. He gives ideas, if it's period of 48 hours, I don't know what it takes, how long to do that. I haven't called the vendor to ask him.
How long would it take?
Quite a while. For our area,
It's still there?
off and on.
Do they stay overnight or are they just in and out during the day? I wonder. Is that what their business model's like is what I'm asking. I don't know these vendors.
They sometimes stay overnight at places and it depends on the area.
Okay, depends on the area. So they could come in, they could go out.
They put, the particular vendor in the area has a, portable electrical fence. It's a wrap.
Oh,
It
okay.
gets staked in and attached to a battery.
Okay.
The goats are all, electric fence trained. And so they know enough not to go near it.
You learn quick? Is
Yeah,
that what you're
yeah.
saying? Okay.
They teach them real young, I
Yeah,
guess.
okay.
But they'll come and they'll set up the fence, bring the goats in,
Okay.
and then they'll move the fence depending on where the areas that they need to be at. They'll move them around
They eat
aggressively.
with the old saying, don't kiss your drive off his back.
You got a lot of sayings I have never heard.
You gotta consider where he's from.
So,
These Kansas, they,
and I suppose the longer they're on the property overnight or whatever, the more they're going to eat, faster they're going to eat it. That makes sense. But it could be beneficial even to us. We could use it down in the creek areas along the park and such, kind of clean some stuff up. So we don't want to violate our own code. Nobody wants to do that, obviously. So by making this allowance, people have that opportunity to do so legally.
I think there's a big difference. I would have a very different opinion about authorizing people to keep goats in the city. Well, like,
Right.
maybe we'll get to that. I think Amy.
I wouldn't be opposed in certain areas.
Well, you have to fight that battle.
Yeah.
But in terms of someone in a business purpose coming in and doing it, I'd say bring us a proposal and make sure it's on the agenda for the public notice.
Okay.
One other thing that I was thinking about with the exceptions is the only time we have livestock in town specifically would be like horses during a parade. Or technically, I think that might actually not be a violation. I don't know. So this would be also a time where that can be added, or if they're having a petting zoo at the open for Christmas and bring the reindeer in. Some of those exceptions to give a tie in at a good time. Just think of the rest of those exceptions that you could ride an elephant down a parade or something. I don't know, but specifically what you can't do that.
Right.
Think a lot that the painting. Yeah, but they wouldn't let you make them think. And my point is that they had goats and things like that.
But it's just, we might consider those specifically like horses and parade, so that not in the future it'll be.
That's fine. We'll look for some other rules around Kansas and see what we come up with. We'll all give the attorney and we'll have to have something suitable that looks good and you guys can parse through it and go from there.
Is there a question for you?
I need to think of that as well.
we'll look that up. Thank you. That part I hadn't looked up yet, so we'll do that. Okay.
Anyone have anything else? I don't have a motion.
We are scheduled to have a study session next week on the
Oh, yeah.
budget.
Thank you.
I think given the information that we received today on where we're at, the dollar amounts, we're going to have to do editing on our side. So I would like to actually postpone that and have the second meeting only is our opportunity to present the budget. I think we need the opportunity to revise what we're doing and make some appropriate cuts based on the funding I've seen. And or
Well,
request an
Brian,
increase.
the thing that I'm not seeing us have an opportunity to do is talk about the requesting being made at the council.
We could do that.
We may want to, we're not locked into the funding that you saw. We can
Sure.
increase the vote if we find that we think we need. to.
Well,
And
then-
we need to chew that stuff over.
Okay, then let's do that next
That way
week.
you don't feel that you have to polish, but.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my only concern, but we can certainly work on whittling in the next week and then bring that to the session. I'll bring paper copies. You guys can parse through it. I don't know. I haven't had feedback necessarily on the individual things that are on there. I went through it again today. I feel like all the notes are made on there and what means what for each department. And I have split the utilities out separate from the general fund today. And then each utility you can see what it is on its own.
I just feel like the council needs to own the budget. Because of the way this council came into being, without the administrative dollars, various things, we've been running behind the pack 2 or 3 years. And I think this council should be, developing what we feel like we need to give more money to this department and that department. This direction and that direction. And we can't do that if we are saying, okay, here's what the accountant said, so here we go. And we cut, every request that somebody made because that's 50 cents.
That's fine. We'll do that next week then. Yeah, I just don't think we can give you a polished anything from anybody yet. So that was my only concern.
All right. I think no, that we don't expect that.
Yeah,
Okay.
didn't-
Yep.
We weren't
didn't really
expecting
want
it.
that.
Fair enough. Well, then we'll come. Again, you've got if the link's not working, let me know. It's the same link. We're using the same thing. It may look a little different last time you looked at it, but there's notes in there certainly for every category on what they want to do and what it means. So
So are you gonna walk, I thought that we were gonna walk through the.
we can, yeah. But I was hoping if you could research ahead of time, you might have questions about some certain things. We could try to have those questions present and keep the process moving. Yeah. So it'll take a little bit of study. I think if you get in there and you look at it,
Your homework.
a little bit of homework, yeah. We're going to do a little bit more homework on it over the next week. And, but there's there's a list for every category. It's every department. They're all flow right through. There's a little red triangle. Highlight, put your cursor over that. It tells you exactly what that box is for that department, which we haven't done in the past.
Do I have that?
No, I need to send you the link for that. Yes, sir.
I don't think I've seen that.
Yeah, you haven't yet. I need to get that sent to you.
Okay.
So I'm just saying, if you do a little bit of homework, you'll be better prepared when we walk in there next week.
Can I have a motion from everybody?
I move we adjourn this meeting.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion second, all for the
Okay.
Whatever you